Hello folks, Mel the Trade Tutor back in the studio and back with a bit of a deep thought and a talky one. Yeah, interesting one today actually. Right, I'm in the process of putting together my Wild West ranch. Yeah, this is because I've got into skirmish games and specifically, these two. I'm playing currently, What a Cowboy from Two Fat Lardies, and I'm playing Dead Man's Hand from What's Your Great Escape Games. Both of them are great little war games, well, skirmish games. Work on different dynamics, but they're a small handful of dice, and very narrative driven, And skirmish games work really well with terrain. Now, for the terrain, what I've got is, rather than build everything from scratch, I got a load of kits from Sarissa. So we've got the Old West Church, we've got the Old West Barn, a couple of the Old West houses, and we've got the water tower, which we've customized up. We've got the the wind pump, the water pump there. Over there we've also got the blacksmiths, but I'm saving the blacksmiths for sort of like a feature piece for the end of the for the end of the actual project. These are very much getting all the knacks and showing you all the techniques, and then we're going to bring all sorts of things back together for that one. But what I want to do is talk about these. Now, these are from the Sarissa range, obviously, and they are great Old West kits. But there's a problem, when it comes to these kits and me playing the skirmish games I want to play. And the problem is they're kits, which means I didn't design them. And so how they affect how I play the game, isn't under my control as a standard kit. And so what I'm looking to do is enhance them and make them more playable for me. So let me just explain a few things. So really simply, here we've got the Sarissa Church. As you can see, it's got windows all the way around. It's got doors at the front and the back. Now, what that means from a playability point of view is, under the rule sets, you can sort of dive through windows and that sort of thing, So movement-wise, you can enter this building 360. Also, it works on line of sight, which means, shooting point of view, you can shoot out of it 360. So, this is basically a bunker, a 360 bunker. You can jump into it anywhere, you can shoot out of it anywhere, which means it's great for skirmish gaming, because with skirmish games, it works on line of sight from model to model. So the more choices you have for play, the better it is. Now, what you could do is, if you wanted to, you could restrict play and you could board up some of these windows, to make it a little bit more interesting. But at this point, I'm just keeping this as it is. But what we do have is we have these girls. Okay, let me move my girls. In fact, let me show you my girls. These are Melanie's girls. That's Melanie. Had to be Melanie, didn't it? Dixie and Daisy, the Deadly Dudson duo. That one. Quite nice, aren't they? I am enjoying them. And then you've got Annie Mae Lee. These are all ladies from the ranch. What was that film? From my youth. The Little Chicken Ranch? Oh, I know you lot will hear. I'll leave it to you old heads in the comments, but these are the ladies from the ranch. Got to build the ranch house. I'm going to scratch build the ranch house. That's the final thing, for the project. But we're talking about these. I'm enjoying this build. Right. So these are kits. Now, at the moment, obviously, this side is solid. So there's no movement or shooting through this side. This side is solid. There's no movement or shooting from this side. So, what can we do? Well, I'm getting a little bit lost here. Right, regain. Let me wet my lips. Right. I'm trying to explain concepts and ideas because I haven't set the actual plans of what I want to do right now. So I'm in that vague idea of I'm explaining concepts whilst at the same time actually making my decisions on what I want to do, because this is this sort of phase, which means I'm not actually 100% set on what I am going to do on these models. I'm just sort of know the principles of what I'm trying to achieve. So with that in mind, let's get back to this. So what we can do is we could add a window there. Yeah, we don't need to cut through the actual kit. All we need to do is use a little bit of balsa. Yeah, some thinner bits. Yeah, wouldn't be hard to add a window on. Yeah, and then immediately that opens up that side. Yeah, but what we could also do is if we put a window down there, yeah, that becomes an opening, yeah, into the building, which means that can be something that can be shot through. It can also be something that can be dived through and climbed through, which means you could also initiate combat through it. So what we could do is we could put the window up higher. Yeah. And then on the inside of the build, come on. Oh, this one, I need to fix that. I've modified this a little and it's affected that, so I need to fix it. I need to basically remove a piece. But anyway, all we've got to do is come along and get something like a barrel. Yeah. Just place the barrel there. Yeah, so that our models can simply step on the barrel and shoot through, but it's above the actual sort of table height, so it's not an entrance. So that becomes basically a shooting port. Yeah, you can shoot through it, but people can't access through it. Yeah, it's little things like this. And on a small build like this, it might not seem so important. Yeah, but on a larger build, things and considerations like this do become important. And what you don't want to do, and what can happen, yeah, is you don't want to create a situation where you spend money on kits and that sort of stuff. And then you're put in a position that once you've painted them all up and you've got them on the table, they don't actually work for the game. Yeah, so thinking at this stage, how can I modify this kit, yeah, to improve it? Really sort of just a little sort of an hour or two, just looking at the kits, yeah, having a play, having a think. And remember, what you can do with these is you use things like blue tack. Yeah, you can roll little bits of blue tack and just put on windows and doors where you think you might want them. And you can play test them. You don't have to wait to play test them and see how they play until they're finished. I mean, they are playable. Yeah. So always think about at the stage that if you're buying kits, especially for something where it's a skirmish game, where models interact with terrain and cover and that sort of stuff, always take the time to just step back, and before you barrel from building the kit into throwing that base layer on, don't just think about how you can make it more attractive, you know, by adding bits. Think about how you can make it more playable, and then give it a go. Put some little blue tack things on, have a play, see if it makes it better, see if it makes it worth. I mean, perhaps I don't want to put windows on this and I want to restrict the line of sight to make it tactical. Or perhaps I want this to be more like a more, what's the term? I'm losing the words. Or perhaps I want it to be more restrictive or more open. Yeah, that's it. Right. So, little things like that. Now, the other thing, yeah, very quickly, that we should talk about is we've talked a lot about moving in and out of buildings. So with this one, you can see you've got doors there, windows there. So with this one, yeah, it's a very similar setup. Okay, doors and windows front and back. It's a very similar model, except this front one hasn't got a window. So you can see naturally, yeah, might want to put a window in there. Yeah, that could be good. But in all these skirmish games, what you've got is you've got mechanics to climb on things. Yeah. And in the case of water pumps and stuff like that, I've taken full advantage of this. I've made the platforms for them. Yeah. And I've extended the platforms. So, for example, very quickly to show you my dirty work. Yeah. If you look under here, that's the original sarissa platform. Okay. On top of it, I put MDF. That's because that platform with this feature on top doesn't really actually fit models. So I've taken the time to extend it. That came from play testing. If I hadn't have actually played it, put models on it, I wouldn't have realized that, and I would have carried on. Yeah. Now this level, this is actually because of it. Within the rules, there's rules that allow you to move up so far and only so far in a turn. Yeah, which means you have to stop. So I've introduced a halfway point, or a nominal halfway point. So models can gain elevation, yeah, which is important in these games. Both games have a factor for elevation. One improves your shooting, the other one reduces cover, or it's something like that. Yeah, but both games, elevation counts. Yeah, so having multiple places on tall buildings matters. Now, I've done the same on this one as well. Yeah, which means, as you can see, maybe this a little. So, as you can see, this one's got multiple levels as well, which means a model can move along. Both rules work on like 10 centimeters movement roughly for up and down. Or is it 6? It's either 2 or 3 inches. Yeah, but roundabout. These are set at 3 inches. But basically, yeah, introducing the halfway and extending it. Now, with this one, same again. I've taken the time. I've added my own platform. Yeah, there. Yeah, and I've extended the sarissa one. And then I've decorated up with little barbecue skewers and stuff like that. So let's get over to these buildings. Yeah, because if elevation matters, which it's supposed to, yeah. All right. Where's the playability on these? Hey, get on there, Nugget. It's like Rubik's Cube kits or something like that. Right. Where's the playability? Yeah, there isn't. Essentially, these are all ground level. I mean, this one does have an elevation in. Yeah, and it can be played. You know, there is line of sight out of here, line of sight out of the other side as well. Yeah, but that's it. So let's first off talk about this kit. Yeah, obviously on the bottom, yeah, we're in the same sort of situation as the church. You can see all the way round, you've got access. You could sort of say, oh, you can't really come in via these windows because they're too small. You could make little arguments like that. But essentially, you've got 360 access, you've got 360 line of sight. Yeah, if we take the top off, you'll notice that we've got these two little platforms, which give access to this line of sight point and this line of sight point. But there's nothing out the sides. So what you could do, and there's a reasonable amount of room between them. Now remember, with skirmish games, you typically have to be next to the window or the door to shoot out of it. Which means if you're there, yeah, the fact that there's a window there or a window there doesn't matter. You can't utilize it. Someone may be able to shoot in at you. That's line of sight. So by adding windows there, you could essentially make 3 different defense points. And then by adding another set of windows here, on these sides, you essentially turn this elevated point into 360 fire, but you really do have to pick your point, much like the bottom ground, but it opens up the fire. Now, that wouldn't be hard to do, adding windows onto this. But let's talk about movement. Yeah? Because that's what I'm interested in at this point. Now, as I was saying, all these games have an element of climbing. There's throwing people off roofs. There's jumping about roofs. But the problem is, the models fall off the roofs. Yeah? That's fine in an Old West town. If you look at all the Old West towns, yeah, pretty typically, they've either got flat roofs or they've got very long and thin, yeah, with a very slight slope. Now, when it comes to slopes and placing models, what you want is a maximum sort of a 3-in-1 slope. So you want a slope where for every 3 inches you go across, you don't go more than an inch up. which suits a lot of these sort of town kits, but not the ranch kits, yeah, which also have these sort of 45-degree downwards. So what can we do in that situation? Well, we can make platforms. You see, if I just rob this little bit here, there is nothing stopping me, yeah, from making, I think they're called dormers, but basically making a little window or air vent up here with a little platform. Okay, so we could put it about there, and that would give me an elevation. Then all I need to do is perhaps model a little ladder up the side, yeah, or just put some barrels on the base to sort of indicate, yeah, you could climb here. Both the rule sets sort of a bit vague with climbing about what you can climb up and what you can't do. Yeah, I think it's very much along to the players and what's achievable. But I like the idea of knowing where your movement points are and that sort of stuff. So I like the idea of adding barrels or ladders to indicate, yeah, this is the route onto the roof. Yeah, it just stops that little sort of Superman silly things where, you know, you get a model coming along and they come straight up and they're like, right, I'm up here now. And it's like, right, okay, Superman jump? Yeah, no. Let's have a couple of barrels, ladders. Yeah, you can see. You've got it. It goes with the storytelling. Yeah, you've got to remember that skirmish games, they're very narrative based. Yeah, they are very much, you get involved in the game. That's why terrain works so well. That's why they're like scenes. So when you do things that break the suspension of the belief that that's a real scene, like scaling up a building that's got no ladder and stuff like that, it breaks it. So to avoid this situation, rather than put it in the player's hands of whether it's doable or not, that's just going to simply include simple ladders or simple barrels to climb up and show it. Yeah, but if we go back to the dormer, there is no reason why I can't add a little sort of dormer window there that adds a platform onto here. Yeah, but obviously this is something that I have to build during the building phase and not afterwards. And so this is why I'm bringing it up. Yeah, and in doing that, immediately I get elevation, I get open cover from one side, I get cover and I'm obscured from another side. You know, that's how it works. You can have them laying down, but all you actually need is enough room, yeah, on your card to actually fit about that much. So it's about 1/2 inch by 1 inch. So it's not much, yeah, because the whole base doesn't have to be on it, yeah. But something like that, you could actually get 2 models on, yeah. So you don't have to do much to make Ruse playable. Yeah. At the same time, if we come over to here, yeah, we can look at this one. Now, this one, we could definitely say we've got a ladder, yeah. But what we could do is we could put a trapdoor on here. Yeah. Now, the benefit of a trapdoor is you've got this and they're going to slide off a little bit. It's going to be a little bit wobbly. But if you were to put a trapdoor on here, then what it would allow you to do is essentially, yeah, have rims. And as long as you made that trapdoor bigger than your actual base, your model would be able to fit within it, which would hold it a lot better. On top of that, yeah, I am going to have sort of like the planking on here, which will hold better anyway. Yeah, textured surfaces always do hold better than smooth. Yeah, the ridge lines. Now, on top of that, what you can do is you can also do some sort of adjusting. So let's say we've got some of these bits. Once I've got my, I'm not sure if I'm going to do them as tiles or shingles or slats. I don't know at this moment in time. But what you can do is you can get little bits of balsa and you can just put them randomly like they're fixes, yeah, across the roof. As long as you put them just at a slight angle, yeah. So we put, say if we put one there and we put one there, yeah. Right, let me, how am I going to do this? Right, let's say we put one there and we put one there, yeah. Do you see how a model could easily sit in that? Okay, so we could easily make this a platform, yeah, without any need of trapdoor, or we could put a trapdoor at one point, Yeah, and then we could just put a few of these pieces sort of holding it together. And as long as we make it look random enough, yeah, it'll be okay. And then that will hold the basis for sliding down. So, yeah, what I'm basically getting across at. Right, let me wet me whistle, and then I'll round this up. Right. What I'm basically getting at is, if you're playing any sort of game, but especially a game like skirmish games where the terrain matters and you are buying kits, yeah, do not think of them as just kits to build and put on the table. Yeah, play test them. Look at how you can enhance them. You can add windows, you can add access points, you can add elements onto the roofing. In fact, that was another one I wanted to show you. I knew there was something. Right, take a look at this one then. Okay, right, as you can see, yeah, very much similar to this one, but we've got this porch. Now the porch, it's a little bit iffy, yeah, but there's a simple little trick you could do. Yeah, this is roughly the right angle. It's just that it's smooth while they're sliding. Yeah, but if we were to come along and we were to get something like a dowel or a bit of wood, and we lift this up, get off. We lift this up. Yeah, we place this along here. Yeah, I'll get a straighter one, but you get the idea. And we bring that down. Yeah, all of a sudden that becomes more level, and our models will place on it. So we could have that, we could have barrels there as a step onto there, and then with the roof we could have a dormer window. I hope it's called dormer. I'll read it. Let me know in the comments. Yeah, or an air vent, yeah, that they can then get up to on here. Really simple, really easy addition, but you don't have to add that much. All you've got to do is consider how to adjust things, yeah, so models are placeable. And that really enhances the terrain for the game. So whenever you get these kits, yeah, look at them from a gameplay point of view. Test them, yeah. Decide what is going to be allowable to go through. Simple rules like, you know, the model's got to be able to fit through the entire window, yeah, or the width of the window has to be so much to be accessible. Yeah, that can come in. But above all, yeah, what I would do is, if I was doing something along the lines of certain windows are accessible and certain windows aren't, I'd add shutters. In fact, I think I might. You see, this is not just me sharing my thoughts and my info and my sort of the stuff I've learned along the way of improving terrain and make it better. Really is my planning session, guys. It really is. I've got loads of good ideas. I know what I'm doing now. Yeah, trapdoor, did it. We'll put windows on there. Yeah, we're going to have some dormers on there. We're going to adjust this and make that, add some batteries. We're probably going to put some shutters on there so it's not so open. And that's as simple as it is. But the main thing is, when you come to this, you really do have to consider your terrain. So whenever you get a kit, yeah, don't just treat it like a kit. Yeah, remember, you can craft with kits. You can make them better. It doesn't take much, okay? But the important thing is it takes consideration before you add the paint. Okay, now I've done a reasonable amount of consideration. I'm going to start cutting things, marking things up. But on top of that, I've got to add all the other fascias, the roofs, and that's going to take a while. So it'll probably be a week or two before you see these again. Yeah, but when you do see them, yeah, they'll have all the bits on them for you. So I hope you found this little sort of like terrain talk useful and a little deep dive into my thinking processes. Yeah, more terrain stuff coming. I've got a video on claying up chimneys. I've got the tumbleweed stuff over there to do that one, and we've got tons of stuff. I've got tons of scatter. We'll be good. We'll be good. It's good. It's going to be good. Right. I'm going to love you and leave you guys. I think have I explained everything I need to explain? Talked about access points. Talked about shuttering. Talked about diamonds. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, guys, I hope what we've covered in this video gives you a different insight into how to use kits. Get in the comments if you have some input on this stuff you've done in the past. Yeah. In fact, I'm also going to add a platform onto there like that. That was something else I wanted to do. You see, I'm doing these in stages, so if I did this sort of video as like actually start and finish, yeah, I'd lose it. I have to get this information down in one vid or it's going to get lost. Right, and on that, it's cracking on time. So, I'll see you in the next vid, guys. In the meantime, if you've liked what you've seen here, like it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you want to support and you're glad to see me back, the link's down below. But above all, say hi in the comments. And if you're glad to see me back, that's the best place to tell me. In the meantime, I'm Bolsery. All the best, yeah? Ta-da.